Hi, I'm Ani Anderson from Motivation Beyond Measure, and I wanted to take an opportunity to interview Brian Traskos, who is the creator of the Core Centering Program, so that you could understand a little bit about where the Core Centering Program came from, how it came to be, and why it may be a good fit for you. So, Brian, I think it's really interesting how you came to understand through your own stress related problems how important it is to center yourself. But I know that that was a real process for you, and it started with your high blood pressure, right?
Yeah, so about 16 years ago, I had a health-related stress crisis. I guess a stress-related health crisis is probably a better way to say that. And I think one of the interesting things is I didn't even realize how stressed I was until I had my blood pressure taken at a health fair, and it was 179 over 97, which is just like off the charts sort of thing. And after I had the blood pressure taken and was meeting with other, having all these tests run and meeting with my doctor and that sort of thing. And I started to put some pieces together and realized it wasn't only my blood pressure that was up. I was having acid reflux. I was having sleep problems. I was chronically frustrated and angry. My back pain was off the charts. So all these things actually were happening. I never put them all together.
That's what I was thinking when I'm hearing you say that, because it's obviously like a lot of stuff going on, but it sounds like you weren't putting it all together and relating it to stress.
That's exactly right. Until I broke down in my basement in tears over some little conversation I was having with someone, then I realized I was like, I am so stressed out. And then it just came out of my mouth. I was like, oh my God, is this all stress? And it was really mind blowing to me that it actually was. And so I started I wanted to take control of that. I thought I could do something about it. I didn't like the idea of being on blood pressure medication and being treated pharmacologically. So I thought I need to do something about this naturally. So I started to meditate. And the craziest thing is, after I really started practicing, formal, scheduled every morning meditation, my blood pressure went up.
Wait, what? I mean, it sounds crazy, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, my blood pressure went up higher actually after I started meditating. I thought, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And so the more I started looking into really like what the physiology of stress is all about, that's really where I started to have a really deep appreciation for the wisdom of our bodies and a less of appreciation for how we are as humans to think that we can think our way out of everything.
Sure. I think that's really interesting because as we hear a lot about mental wellness and mental health in the news right now, I mean, we were just talking about this morning, right? Oftentimes what we're doing is we're looking to psychologists and social workers and people like that, which is great, but there's this really missing piece about how stress lives in the body. It lives in the body, and I think that's kind of what your story shows us.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, meditation is great, by the way, and it is a part of the core centering process, but it comes at the end and not at the beginning.
And it's a part, it's not the whole thing.
It's not the whole thing, because if you understand the physiology of stress, when we're stressed, one of the major things that happens is our higher neocortex part of our brain goes offline.
Right.
And that's the part of our brain we use to focus on things, which is what meditation is. It's a focus practice, right? At the end of the day, when we're practicing meditation, we're focusing on something.
It's like a catch-22, right?
Exactly. So if that part of your brain is disconnected because you're stressed,
what are you going to do?
And you're trying to meditate, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And it actually drives more stress. So what I had to do is rethink the whole thing.
Right.
And I really had to understand that I had to come from the bottom up rather than the top down.
Right, so the body first.
Body first.
Right.
Start with specific practices in the body, work your way up until you're able to reconnect with your higher brain function, and then practice the meditation. And the results, my blood pressure just dropped down lower to was ever. In my whole life, it came down lower than ever it was before.
That's cool. And I think that what you're talking about is that you're really tackling stress in a physiologically correct way. And so often, we're trying to tackle health and medical concerns from the top down, and we forget like some simple aspects of humanity. Like we have this body, right? So the symptoms are happening in the body, we're trying to manage it here. So you're talking about a really physiologically correct way of going at stress by working in the body first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about, I think this is really interesting and super applicable to the core centering program, because so many people who want to take the program are therapists and coaches. They might be people who work in or out of the medical system, leaders, managers, or even like those employees that want to be the most valuable employee right now. Because let's face it, everybody is stressed. Everybody needs a go-to stress reduction expert. So you went to your doctor when you first started to have this high blood pressure stuff, right? Tell us a little bit about what that interaction was like, because I think somewhere in our heads we think all we have to do is go to our healthcare professional and it will all get better. But that isn't necessarily what happened with you.
Yeah, well, actually it's kind of a two-part thing. So the first time I went to my doctor, like we ran all these tests and figured out there was nothing organically going on. It was stress related. So then I took that upon myself and managed that.
Hang on, I want to stop there for a second. You went and you got a bunch of tests done, and like the results were showing that there wasn't something wrong with you.
Right, yeah, correct.
I think I just want to stop and pause for a second there, because that happens for so many people. And so there's so much that we can be doing preventatively by really addressing people's stress before something shows up. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Couldn't help myself.
Yeah, so then I went through that process of, figuring out how to come from the body up, and then, add the meditation in later, sort of thing. And so I was able really to get my blood pressure back down. I felt better. My back pain was gone. My acid reflux was gone. All those stress-related symptoms resolved themselves, and I was feeling pretty good. I was like, I can manage I can manage myself, and I'm happy to just go out that. And I started actually tinkering with my patient care also, really recognizing that my patients who weren't healing quickly enough, who were healing like on the longer term of things, that actually was really stress related for them.
This is when, somebody watching this might not know that this time you were a physical therapist. I'm not sure if you said that. So these are your physical therapy patients at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that also is really applicable right now, because one of the things that we're hearing from healthcare professionals is not only are healthcare professionals ridiculously stressed out, the people who are coming to see them in all aspects of healthcare are ridiculously stressed out too. So it sounds like you were able to use some of these things just every day.
Oh, immediately. Yeah, and and the science is really good showing that stress does slow healing significantly. So if people aren't getting better, maybe it's not that there's something, again, wrong. It's that they have too high of what we call an allopathic load. There's too much stress on board, which is lower the levels of stress, then people will actually, their bodies will do what they're supposed to do. But so the part two around the doctor.
I just got to stop you again, because what you said was so good. When you lower the level of stress, the body can do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
When you lower the level of stress, the body can do what it's supposed to do. I think like we can extrapolate that too. When you lower the level of stress, the parent can do what they're supposed to do. The employee can do what they're supposed to do. The leader can do what they're supposed to do. The human being can go and live their lives. It's so critical. Okay, keep going.
No, that's a great segue into the next part of my story here is that about 6 months after I had that experience, like everything, back down to where it needed to be, and I felt great, I had a sinus infection. And I went back to the doctor's office, and I saw a different doctor than the primary care doctor I saw the first time. And so when I went in, I'm sitting in the doctor's office, and the new doctor comes rushing in, and he says, hey, do you know you have a high blood pressure history? And I said, yeah, I know that. He said, I have to educate you on it. I said, great, educate me on it. And I'm really curious, like, what's he going to share with me? So he gives me a pamphlet, and in the pamphlet it says, eat a low-fat diet, exercise every day, and stop smoking.
To which you said.
And so I said, well, I didn't actually read it at that time. I mean, I did my thing with him. I took it. I said, thanks so much, doctor. I really appreciate it. So I took it home and I read it and I was like, hang on a second. I exercise every day. I do.
Yeah.
You can speak to that,
yes.
Right? I exercise every day. I was eating a low-fat organic diet from local food sources, like right up the road from where we live. And I never smoked a day in my life. So the next day I actually went and found the doctor and I said, Doc, thanks so much for the stress-related education packet. I really appreciate it. But here's the thing. I exercise every day. I eat a really clean diet, and I've never smoked a day in my life. My blood pressure was still really high. I said, Doc, have you ever have you ever considered where stress education comes in to the work that you're doing with your patients? Because that's what my problem was. And you know what he said to me? He said, Brian, I know all about, this is literally what he said. He said, Brian, I know all about stress. And there's plenty of research to show that stress is the leading cause of heart disease in our country. But I don't have time to deal with it. That's what he said to me. And I was in the parking lot of the hospital we were working, and I felt like the world lurched.
Right.
And I was like, did anybody just hear what my doctor just told me? That he knows what the leading cause of heart disease is, but he doesn't have time to deal with it?
So this is true. They don't, right?
They don't.
And nowadays, even worse. They don't.
They don't.
So, hey, anybody who wants to make a difference, I mean, what would it be like if anybody who walked into the hospital talked to that doctor and said, Doc, I know that you know that this is the leading cause of, like you said, heart disease, but it's other stuff too, right? Like days out and doctor visits.
Oh, sure. Yeah. If we're talking about employees, we're talking about not showing up for work, absenteeism, presenteeism, being at work but not being at work.
All of that
because burnout now is like 3/4 of everyone in the working world now is expressing burnout.
Yeah.
Which means they've given up hope with where they are.
So it's like, hey, Doc, I know that you know that this is a super big problem, and I know you know that there are ways to tackle it, but you don't have the time. I'd love to help.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd love to help.
Yeah, so that's where I took it upon myself. And I said, well, if my doctor's not going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's where I really shifted. My whole physical therapy world shifted in that moment. I went from being an entrepreneur, working in a hospital, punching a clock, doing what other people told me to do. And I decided, no way. I'm doing what I want to do. This is too big now. And I shifted my whole practice around this idea of optimizing people's nervous systems in such a way where they could heal faster. And I created my whole private practice around that. I left, I happened to leave the hospital and start my own business, and it exploded. In growth, because people were coming to me knowing that they were going to get faster results simply because I knew how to help them regulate their nervous system.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because you can stay in your job and become the most valuable person around.
Sure, absolutely.
You certainly can. Or you can start your own thing. I mean, there's never been a better time to be a stress reduction expert. But you did this, and it was about, 12 years ago?
16 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
When you left the hospital?
Yep.
Wow.
Well, no, actually, so I had my stress-related thing 16 years ago.
Okay, you left the hospital.
And it took me 13 years ago.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you left the hospital, so 13 years ago. You really fronted with stress. I'm a stress expert, and you had a full caseload privately, actually, before you left.
I did, yeah.
You transitioned right on out. It was really incredible.
Right, because I had that little delineating factor. And like Ani was saying, whether you become the most valuable person in the institution or organization you're working in, or you become the most valuable person in your community as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. Your value will skyrocket when you have the capacity to help other people manage their nervous systems, manage their stress. They'll feel better, they'll feel more alive, and they'll let you know it. It's really gratifying. Yeah,
and they're going to look to you because you're a person who does these practices. You are going to vibe. They're just going to know by being around you, wow, like, I hear people say this about you, like, Brian's super chill. I love being around him. I don't even know why. I just love being around him. And those are some of the things that people will say about you, too, when you're a course centering practitioner. So, we're going to help you to become the most valuable person around, because we have some bonuses that we've worked into the program. But let's just talk about the fact that, you and I, between the two of us, have about 50 years of experience. We have, what did we figure? 12 certifications, 4 licensures.
Well, between us, we have like 4 licensures and 22 certifications, or 23 holistic certifications.
We have a lot of experience, and so people, watching this might be going, well, easy for you two to say. You have a lot of experience in this stuff, and the program is 2 days. How can you possibly teach me how to be an effective stress expert, a sought-after stress expert? How can you do that in 2 days, Brian? What's up?
Well, I think the point is that we do have so much experience. We've made a lot of mistakes, right?
Yes.
I mean, we've made a lot of mistakes, like trying things out with people and trying this class and trying this thing. And what we've done with course centering is we've taken all the mistakes out of it. So we've made all the mistakes for you already. And we've streamlined this and distilled it down to we know what works because we have screwed up enough stuff. I mean, it's not like we've really screwed it up, but we've played with it, we've trialed it, we've experimented with it, and we've gotten it down to the cleanest, most important, most distilled content, and also experiences that you need to have to be able to have an entry-level experience with someone else to share it with them as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the content first, because the content is really what the 2 days is about. It's about learning the course centering method.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I will say too, by the way, this is actually not a 2-day program. It's a 30-day program.
Right.
Because it's a 2-day virtual, training where we're together for 16 hours over 2 days. But then we have a 30-day forum group that we hold so that people can try things and ask questions and be supported in methodologies to structure or organize what you're doing to bring it forward to people. Create your business systems, if you will, if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, and so our expertise is available to you to be able to utilize that through the course of 30 days so that basically we can help you to be really, really effective with what you're learning in those 2 days, because a lot of programs, they certify you in something and they say, see you later.
Right, yeah.
Good luck. And then you have to go spend, I was gonna say thousands, but I'm gonna say hundreds of thousands of dollars, because that's what we've spent on business building skills to learn how to bring that information forward. But we really want to be available to you so that no matter how you want to bring this information forward, we can help you to do that. Yeah. So the content is really streamlined. And can we just touch for just a second, Brian, and then we'll wrap up, about the effectiveness of the content? Because I think sometimes we talk about how effective the content is, and I don't think people really believe us, because you go out and you take a course and then maybe it changes a little bit, maybe it doesn't. And then we keep on going with our lives. But when people take programs like the Course Centering program with us, they have profound transformations. They're able to make profound transformations, and it's not like they're affecting a few people. They're affecting like everybody they're around.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is why this is so important. I think what makes our program a lot different than other programs is what we hear from people who take programs with other people and with us as well, is that one of the biggest fears that professionals have, or teachers have, anybody leading someone else in a process has, is that they're going to get asked why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why are we breathing this way? Why are you moving this way? Why are you having me do this thing? And that's the biggest fear for somebody. And that's what they're afraid of, is that they're not going to be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
And they're going to close up and go, I don't know why.
It's a big deal. What if you were in front of a doctor or a therapist or, And they lose all
authority.
Totally.
They lose all expertise. And that's doesn't feel good. And then it decreases your capacity to make that difference.
Right.
So again, why the content is so important and what we streamline it to is to make sure that our practitioners can answer those questions. Why are you doing this? And you have a very clean answer for it. You know exactly why you're doing it. And you can convey it in a way where the person will understand why you're doing it together. And that makes you the authority and the expert on the stress reduction program that you're bringing to people, and then people will actually buy into it. But that's so important.
Yeah, people ask us all the time, how do I convince people to do these things that I know are make such a big difference? You don't have to worry about that when you take a program with us.
Right.
And that's why that's one of the reasons why they're so very effective. So I think the last thing I want to let you know is that we expect you to have a 10x ROI on this program. We expect you to be able to go out and, again, whether you're in an organization, become the most valuable employee, or go out and really be able to capitalize on this investment. So we can't wait for you to join us at Course Centering. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to send us an email at info@motivationbeyondmeasure.com. We will answer it, and we can't wait to see you inside the Course Centering Practitioner Program.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the training.
Bye-bye.